Hello, so in this episode we are talking about The Devil Rides Out with my sister Becky.
Hello.
So my book is still out and it's had a review. Somebody called JC says it's better than the Bible. So we will advise that you buy it. Right, okay, so in this episode, Bethan the historian, looks into research on the place and looks back into the past as they requested, and a map shows 3 surrounding farms surrounding the ruins of the original Hale Van Og. And she says, "Oh, I see a pattern, and it shows that there's all sorts of bad luck surrounds the area. People have money trouble. There's deaths. I mean, yeah, well, yeah, like anywhere else. Way back to 1850s, and the area is cursed. And are you on board with that?
I mean, it's likely that there's going to be death, and I think also money troubles. Looking at the time period, I think it was. Yeah, I can't say that that's because of cursed land.
I was just like, what? Are you telling me that living in the middle of nowhere is difficult?
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be easy and make loads of money off it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's notoriously difficult to live isolated, isn't it?
Yeah. So Bill and Liz feel an overwhelming sense of dread all the time, like living in a thick fog. Liz comes home and into the house, and she sees a dark, solid, menacing figure. And it's dramatised, so we don't know whether that's how it went down. But this figure then walks through the wall towards where the electrical meters are, on its way to the barn. So that's interesting. Mm-hmm. And then in the drama, one of the kids goes, "Mummy, it's behind you," all creepy.
She says as well, doesn't she? "Come on, kids, let's say I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in ghosts." And in my mind, I was thinking, I would be trying to just draw all my attention away from it, rather than, I think if Mum had me in her arms and was saying, "Don't look at the ghost," it would stay with you whether it was real or not.
I didn't think that actually happened. I thought that was pure dramatic effect. It's an audio podcast.
Do you think?
Well, normally Danny follows it up with, why did you say that? How did you think about? There was none of that, was there?
Well, it'd be interesting to look at that then, because I feel like that was quite a big part of the story, because I think getting your kids involved in it almost then hypes up their belief almost, and like Kieran says, they may have been seeing something totally different.
Yeah, Kieran does say multiple witnesses is good, but the kids might be seeing what Liz suggests, and
or remembering it differently,
Yeah, it is dangerous that the kids are obviously aware of these stories of ghosts and people coming and going, and kids talk, don't they, at school? And so.
Yeah, and I think you remember things as you grow up. You do look back and you probably do remember things as differently, even if you were probably terrified, even if there wasn't anything to be terrified about.
Yeah, I mean, in other cases, in other houses, homes that have ghosts, I know that it's very common for the family to live with that attitude of, "Oh, don't mind that, it's just the ghost, or it's just Fred."
That's and like you were like,
yeah, I suppose, yeah.
That's just my ghost. Like, it was even, it's almost like a denial. I think.
Yeah. Okay. So the image that she saw, it suggested, is this the other ghost, the dark energy, not the, forgotten what she's called, but the landlord's mother.
Yeah, I can't remember what her name is. Is it Marion?
Marion. Thanks, Bex. Yes, it was Marion. The family then runs away to Liz's mum, which is like 50 miles away, and at this new house in time, they have the baby monitors on, and they hear, well, yeah, they both hear muttering of people talking in the kid's bedroom, and they're like, bloody kids, you know, as you do. Bill goes up and he's like, oh, silence, fast asleep. And when he comes down, he's like, oh no, they were actually out. And Liz is like, I just heard you enter that bedroom and the voices went on and you didn't hear them. Pretty good.
That's scary. I don't like that. Baby monitors always freak me out anyway, because it's basically any horror film.
Yeah.
But that would freak me out. That'd be it for me.
Yeah. Good evidence and not something that you generally record.
No, definitely not. So yeah, I would. You can't. If you hear that genuinely, it's hard to explain away.
Yeah. I suppose I should mention one time when we were down in a cellar of a cafe. It was on the used to be a train yard, and we had one microphone end in the cellar, and we sat round our Ouija board upstairs, and only out of that one on the table came a train sound.
Yeah.
And not even through the open windows. It was summer.
It was also middle of the night. You know, like they weren't.
Summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, baby monitors are creepy, but are cool as well.
Yeah.
So Bill goes back and immerses himself back at the house in drinking and painting. I mean, you would understand that he's an artist. He just wants to lose himself from the nonsense.
Yeah, and I think as well, if you have got any form of depression, or if you are in a great place anyway, drinking doesn't help that. And then painting, you're going to be painting almost your mood on a board.
Yeah. I mean, that is a great way to get out and clean your emotions by to put it down in some form. But also, that's his job. He needs to be. If he's not painting, he can't sell his stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's not unusual for him to be doing that, is it?
Yeah, it's not like, oh, why are you fiddling about with that motorbike? It's like, well, you know, yeah, that's your job.
Yeah.
So one painting that he does is life size, is a male, and is made of handprints, apart from real bandages that he laid over the eyes with real blood on the bandages, his blood. And Liz is like mortified to see this, like, what made you paint that? What happened? You know, she's still back at her mum's for a while.
It does sound dark.
Dark, yeah. But he's just manifesting. He's in his house, in the house on his own. That's where your mind's going to go, isn't it?
And if he's aware of this big dark figure that she's seen, that may be in his head anyway. That doesn't mean it's anything supernatural.
Yeah. I mean, I can see what she's meaning. We've spoke about this before. My drawing, my surrounded thing. It's
freaky, yeah. It makes things almost come to life.
Yeah. The next step in the podcast, the local vicar, the vicar gives the vicar's number is given. Yeah, the number to the vicar is given, and then soon enough, at a church in Merthyr Tydfil, Liz introduces herself to Reverend David Homewood, who is an expert in exorcism, stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's big on talking about the devil at work, you know, evil. The devil is represented, you know, of evil, and gives it the big talk. I'll come to your house, but it'll take me months to prepare.
Yeah, no, I don't know what I feel about that. It's almost like I quite like the fact that it wasn't quick to be like, yeah, no worries, I'll come over tomorrow, because he's obviously doesn't see it as a big issue or a thing, or maybe is taking it a bit lightly. If it's somebody's life and their home, and they genuinely feel desperate. But then in another, it's almost like, is he just trying to get out of it?
Do you think?
It could be.
I didn't think of it like that.
Months is a long time. I don't know what you need.
Yeah.
What you'd need to do for that time.
Well, normally with an exorcism, don't you have he's not exorcising a person, is he? Because when that happens, they have to actually apply to be allowed, and it's a lot of back and forth with Italy, isn't it? The Vatican and stuff.
Gosh, is it? I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah, you can't just go and exorcise somebody.
Oh wow. Well, that's interesting because that makes you see that clearly people think there's some truth to it.
Yeah. Well, it's just wasn't it just come out recently at the time of COVID that they actually opened a new exorcism branch because it was so rife.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But then does that make you also then think about at that time, mental well-being was probably on the floor?
Yeah.
So it's another thing from the skeptical side. Is it people are having, really difficult times? It would fit, wouldn't it, with COVID when you're locked down in your house, and then if you think of it from if you're from a believer's point of view, if you're locked in your house and it's an active house, are you more likely to need that help? Maybe you can't leave it.
Yeah. So one night in June, this vicar comes up to the house, and Bill's a bit awkward with him. Bill's a bit, I don't really go in for this nonsense, because it just perpetuates it, doesn't it? So here we go again.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it. I want it to be gone.
Yeah.
I brought this lady from America called Anita. She's an ex-Satanist. So they're talking all like this on the way up to the house, and an owl flies and smashes into the windscreen.
Yeah.
Makes them stop and be like, "Oh my God!" And he's like, "He knows we're bringing the fight to him," and starts everything that happens is all about the devil, and straight out of like The Omen and The Exorcist sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's just one of those things, isn't it? Are these people just super unlucky? Like everything seems to happen to them, but how easy is it to say that was because of that? It's so
You can understand that they're like, "Oh my God, well, this is just obviously a sign."
Yeah, but they live up in the countryside in the middle of nowhere where there probably are owls all the time, and it could just be completely natural.
All the stuff they have to deal with, all the bad things, are out in the middle of nowhere related.
Yeah.
Yes, it's unusual if an owl flew into my car, I'd be like, "Well, that's unusual."
Exactly. Yeah, and things
Right.
have happened. You've had a bat in your living in the middle of a hot summer's day.
Yeah.
It's that seems more unusual than an owl flying into your car in the middle of the countryside.
Yeah. But I take the point. I'm not making passing. It's just
absolutely, and you can see absolutely why you would think it. I would be concerned as well.
You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So David is actually dead now, and a guy called Matt Trigger is now in place of David. And he says like David was a clever guy, and he wasn't afraid of conflict. So he wasn't. He's a guy to be trusted, really, a level-headed in the field, Matt says that he's done hundreds of exorcisms and says that it is a war. Now, this is what I've been learning about this type of thing, that I know we talk about attachments and stuff, but anything beyond that, it takes a long time. It starts small and it builds steadily over time. It's not like you've done a Ouija board and now you're possessed.
We've literally seen it. We have literally seen it. If you think about, the cellar incident where you were messing around with things you probably shouldn't have been messing around with.
Yeah.
We were told by numerous spirits there was an attachment, and it was all kind of hidden. It wasn't like very clear, but we knew there was something not right. And then you look at like York and what happened in York, and you talk about a battle. We literally saw a battle before. Yeah. And I will never get over that. That will stay with me forever.
Yeah. It does seem like dark goings on is a battle between dark and light, and it's like weird.
Yeah. And did you hear the bit about the eyes?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Because that's what we got, innit? In York, we got about get Chris's eyes, take his
Yeah.
eyes. And when he said that on the podcast, I was like, oh, maybe that's a thing.
I didn't write that down, but I know the bit you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Saying that this guy who was supposedly possessed just went to claw Matt's eyes out,
Get his eyes. And that is literally what was said to Chris in York.
Yeah. And isn't it weird how when we come to the conclusion that ghosts need to look through our eyes when we're doing things like the Ouija board and stuff?
There's
Which is a long
something.
story.
Yeah, there's something there.
Yeah. Right, so Danny says, we have to mention that these people could be mentally ill and it might not be the devil. And I think that's what every skeptical, rational person says.
Yeah.
How do you know they're not just got a problem,
Yeah.
And that's very difficult, isn't it?
It is, and like I say, James, my husband, is absolutely skeptical. And if he saw a ghost standing in front of him, he said the first thing he would do is go and get himself checked into a doctor because he's skeptical. And I can, I think if you are of that mindset, that's the only way to explain it.
Yeah, closed mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
in 1991, this car full of people, you imagine that they get back to Hale Vanog, and there's a horrible smell. The bulbs are gone for some reason, and then there's just a dead, rotting bird in the house. Animals.
Yes.
Yeah. Bill is sort of asked to take the vicar to his studio, so up they go. David sees the pictures around and then confronts Bill and says, he's been using you. You've painted eyes. This entity is working through you. It's in your head and it's coming through you. Meanwhile, there's a screaming from downstairs, and Liz herself is supposedly possessed. And again, they dramatise the situation, but it still gives you the effect of she was not being herself at all, and she was acting like the stereotype.
Yeah, I said to her about, do you believe that Jesus Christ is the light? And she said something like, nothing to do with me. Like that menacing.
Menacing.
To her, yeah. Which isn't like her, is it? We've literally to her on the podcast. She's very normal,
Yeah.
straight talking,
Yeah. Skeptical at one point, and now just like had enough of it and scared,
Mm-hmm.
So Bill is obviously upset. And then we cut to the modern day Liz, and again, Danny's like, "How does that make you feel?" And she goes, "I feel violated."
Got a bit awful.
So cut to Bethan weeks later in the pub, and she's saying in Victorian times in 1848, another local farm called Cumgoody, there was a murder, and Thomas Edwards was axe murdered. So the body was found at this Cumgoody farm, and yet rumours are going that the actual murder happened at Hale Vanog with absolutely no evidence whatsoever.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know why you would even say that.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure why this gets brought in, but that's how the show ends.
And I'm not sure where the link between the farms is. Is it? There must be a link there. But she said she reckons she's cracked it. She's cracked the case.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's why it's all going on. So.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much that episode.
Yeah.
So, thank you for joining me, and I will see you and everybody else in the next episode.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye. Pause. And they thought.
So they
thought it was done at.
He was murdered, and they found the body there, but they thought the murder happened at Hale Vanog.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to say what you said.
I think that's right. Just listen to it.
Let me just tell you that now.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah. Yeah, that's that.
All right. I don't know if I got that all right.
So I think, what happened is...
What am I telling you happened?
So the body was found at this other farm.
Yeah.
But they think the murder site was Hale Vanog.
Thank you.
They're sitting on a...
Hey, X. Let me tell you something.
Laughing. Yeah, go. Outtakes.
Right, so apparently I can't be arsed now.